Most people spend their whole lives playing roles: the child, the partner, the worker, the friend. But who are you beneath all of it? If you've been feeling lost, disconnected, or like something's missing, this video might just help you remember what you were never meant to forget. From the moment you were born, you were handed a mask. Not out of malice, but out of habit. Society, culture, school, even your family, they all told you who to be. They told you what good looks like, what success looks like, what you should look like. And slowly, without realizing it, you traded your truth for approval. You learned to suppress the parts of yourself that didn't fit the mold. The parts that were too loud, too sensitive, too dreamy, too bold. The parts that made you you. And here's the thing. This mask isn't just physical. It becomes mental, emotional, spiritual. It changes the way you speak, think, and love. It becomes a full-body armor, one designed to protect you from rejection. But in doing so, it also shields you from authenticity. You're not here to be a polished version of what others expect. You're here to be real, to shed what isn't yours, to find the voice beneath the noise. Because until you remove that mask, the world will never know who you really are, and neither will you. Finding the real you isn't just about discovering something new. It's about unlearning the lies you've been told and the ones you've told yourself. You've been conditioned to believe you're not enough unless you achieve, that your worth depends on productivity, that love is earned through perfection, that vulnerability is weakness. These are illusions dressed as wisdom, inherited from a world that forgot how to feel. But the real you existed before all of that, before the guilt, before the pressure, before the endless measuring against others. That version of you, pure, raw, curious, still exists underneath it all, waiting for your return. You've mistaken the voice in your head for truth, but that voice was built from other people's opinions, fears, and projections. It's time to challenge it, to ask, whose voice is this? Where did I learn to hate parts of myself? Because once you question the script, you reclaim the pen. And when you begin to rewrite the story, not as who you should be, but who you are, that's when you start to feel something you haven't in a long time. Peace. Because truth feels like peace. You've been performing for so long, you forgot it was a performance. We all wear masks. The I'm fine mask. The I've got it all together mask. The one you put on when you don't want to disappoint others. Or the one you wear to be liked, even if it means betraying your truth. And after a while, the masks don't come off. They just change shape. But here's the painful truth. Every time you wear a mask, you bury the real you a little deeper. You become a stranger to yourself, living on autopilot, reacting to life instead of creating it. And eventually, you start to feel empty. Not because you are empty, but because the version of you you're showing to the world is hollow. And that's where the real journey begins. Not in becoming someone new, but in removing everything you never were. The false identities, the roles you were forced to play, the beliefs that were never truly yours. You were not born to fit in. You were born to feel deeply, wildly, fully. And you were born to live as you, not a filtered, palatable version, but the whole messy, radiant truth. The moment you choose truth over performance, the mask begins to crack, and behind it, freedom. You weren't born lost. You were born knowing. As a child, you didn't question your essence. You felt joy without permission. You danced without needing rhythm. You asked questions without shame. You followed your curiosity. You spoke your truth loudly. That wasn't a phase. That was you. before the world told you who to be. Then the conditioning came. Quiet down. Sit still. Don't be so sensitive. Be realistic. Be good. Be what they want. Piece by piece, you are molded into someone that fit better into their world, not your own. And every compromise you made felt small at the time. Until one day, you looked in the mirror and saw someone else staring back. But the real you never disappeared. You've just been buried beneath layers of protection, defense mechanisms, coping strategies, survival personas. And they did serve a purpose. But now, you're ready for something more than survival. You're ready to remember. And remembering isn't about going back. It's about returning to the root, the you who existed before the pain, before the masks, before the compromise, the soul that still breathes underneath the noise. Finding the real you is less about discovery and more about reunion. You've met before. You just forgot what it felt like to be that free. So how do you find the real you? You stop searching out there and start listening in here. You stop chasing titles, labels, and expectations and start peeling them off one by one. You make peace with your past, not because it didn't hurt, but because you deserve to stop carrying it. You get quiet enough to hear your soul whisper, I'm still here. The real you doesn't need to be created. You are never broken, never missing, only buried beneath everything the world convinced you was more important. And when you begin to let go, something wild happens. Your energy returns. Your curiosity reignites. Your laughter sounds familiar again. You don't just recognize yourself, you remember yourself. And that's where your power lives. Not in becoming someone new, but in finally giving yourself permission to be who you always were.